Hey guys, Mike Toy with Bonsai Boise. So this video is going to be about another one of my silver maples. I have, I don't know, half a dozen or so. I posted a video earlier this week with the different silver maple, and I mentioned this one in it. I'll put a link to that video right here. But this one's always been fun to me because of this little loop feature here. Give a little spin so you can kind of see it. So it just kind of loops around. So what I'm going to do, I am going to repot it, and I'm going to do a trim. I'm going to cut it back pretty good up to about this point here. And then I'm going to repot it into this pot, as you see here. Put a little piece of tape, that's going to be the front of the pot. I notice when I use these round pots, it's real easy to forget which side I want it as the front once I start moving and shaking. So I put a little piece of tape there so that I don't have to mess with it again. So follow me, and I'll talk a little bit about this, and then I'm just going to dive in and give you a close-up look at what it looks like when I repot it, and then we'll do a recap. So let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in to give you a better look here, and then I'll talk a little bit about this and how far it's come and where we're going with it from here. So let's zoom in. Okay, so the silver maple has been in this training pot here for about 3 years now. I believe I repotted it somewhere in the winter of, what would that have been, 2018. So yeah, it's been about 3 years in this training pot, so far too long. And I could be wrong, I might be off a little bit, but it's something like that. So it's been in this training pot a long time. I can tell even just by looking at the quality of the soil, it's just mush. And you can see the color of it and everything. So, you know, these rocks I had put in place just to kind of hold it steady and keep it sturdy in the pot. And, you know, they're pretty well in there now. They've sunk in quite a bit. So it's time to repot it. The tree itself is about 8 years old, grown from seed. Another one that just sprouted up in the yard one day. So I like how it's turned out. It's fun, it's unique. You don't see a lot of silver maples like this. You don't see a lot of maples like this, period, really. So I've liked it. I like it up to about here-ish. I haven't spent much effort at all developing the branches. I've more or less just kind of wanted to work on this, and I wanted to make sure that this gap here didn't close up. Not sure how well you can see that. Let me see if I can spin it around. So, not sure if you can see that, but I want to make sure that this top part here didn't fuse with this bottom part, and so then it would just end up being a circle. I didn't want that, so I managed to avoid that. I'm going to continue to manage avoiding that. But now I'm getting to the point where it's time to give it a little more attention and love. So I'm going to take it out of this training pot, trim up the roots a little bit. I'm not going to butcher it, but I'm going to trim up the roots some because I'm sure it's pot bound, more or less. And I'm going to take it back to right around here. Now, much like the other silver maple that I did a video on the other day, I've got two potential fronts on this. I've got somewhere in this neighborhood, or somewhere in this neighborhood. I'm leaning more toward this version, but what I got working against me is, so I've got it coming up, and I've got this branch coming out. I'm going to take this back a little bit too. I'm going to get rid of some of these dead ends and whatnot. And then I don't like how abrupt this curve is, but I think that'll even out with time. And I don't like how this branch is coming back inward. I kind of wanted it to go outward, but you know, we do the best with what we got. So what I think I'm going to do is cut it back to here. I'm going to allow a little bit of space here for dieback in between. I've got a branch with buds down here. I've got a branch up here with buds on top, buds on the branch. And I can't quite tell, but I think that there's a bud behind this too. I'd zoom in, but it's so tiny I could barely tell myself with my eyeball. So I'm going to hope that I can eventually develop one of these buds or branches to grow more outward. And let's see if I can do this. Instead of this way, coming out more this way. So went out this direction. So I want it to flare out and then grow from there. So that's what I'm gonna hope for. I'm not trying to make it perfect today or anything. I'm just gonna try to get it in a position where we can work on getting there. So I'm gonna do most of this repot process and fast forward, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and just make this big cut here. So let's go ahead and do it. Be careful not to take out that bud with it. There we go, big cut. So it kind of looks better already. It's always scary to make those big cuts, but then you do it and it looks better most of the time. I'm gonna take back, actually I'm gonna stick with this one for a minute, and I'm gonna take out this dead branch in the middle. This is just one that died back, like that. I'll clean that up better here in a second. Take this one out. Take this one out. And I'm gonna take this back to this set of buds right here in the middle. Take this one back to right there. And that's about it really for trimming. There's not a whole lot of branches there to trim. So that's a look at that there. Okay, so something else I'm gonna do here. Maybe you can see this. See this water here dripping off? So these trees, silver maples, bleed a lot. So I introduced my new method here for sealing those up in my last video, but I'll show you something I'm trying, just clear glue. Just non-toxic, safe, washable, clear glue. And the reason I'm doing this is because in the past, I've tried Elmer's glue and it actually works. I read that somewhere on some forum and it does work. The problem with Elmer's glue is that it's white, and so you can see it. You can see it like a lot too. It turns, you know, it gets dirty and then it's real ugly and kind of starts to smear. So I wanted to avoid that this time. So I'm trying this clear glue, hopefully it'll work. My thinking on it is that though it is washable, meaning, you know, you add enough water to it and it just will eventually rinse off, it will hopefully seal up the wound long enough for it to heal or callus over a little bit before the glue itself washes off. That's my thinking. After I do this work, it's gonna go out on my back patio where it is covered, so it's not exposed to rain and snow. It has been up until this point, but it won't be now that I'm doing this, just specifically because of this is why I'm doing that. Otherwise, I would love for it to be exposed to rain and snow. But I'll just water it myself while this dries and heals up, and then and we'll see how it goes. So I'll keep you updated and let you know how well this does or doesn't work along the way. But I'm gonna go ahead and give this 10 or 15 minutes just to dry up a little bit so it's not dripping all over me. And then I'm gonna turn the camera back on. I'll put it in fast forward while I take these rocks out, pull it out of this ugly old training pot, trim it up a bit, put it in its new pot. So see you in just a second. All right, guys, so here we are. So I'm basically done here. I'm just gonna put a couple of rocks on here just to kind of hold it in place. I'm using the same rocks that I had on there before. I just washed them off with some soap and water, just in case there were any bugs on there or anything. So this one's already got a little chunk taken out, so I'm actually gonna stick it right back here to kind of help prop it up a little bit. Almost like it was just made for that spot right there. So that's pretty cool. Kind of like the tree's just growing out of it. Just like that. And I'm going to put one more on the opposite side here. Just to kind of help hold it down, just to balance it out. Also, I've got a little bit of root exposed over here, which I'm going to address here in a second. There we go. And the pot is deep enough so that it's fairly sturdy. So I'm not going to put any other rocks than that, just that for now. We'll see how it goes and how it does. I'm going to apply a little more of that clear glue on this end because I messed with it so much during that I think I might have smeared it off or something. So I'll just, for safety's sake, I'll just add some more. So just to recap, and then I'm going to address some things that I know I'm going to hear anyway. So I know what a lot of people are probably thinking when they see that. They're thinking, geez, why did you leave so many of those big roots on there? Because we're all told that we should hack those away at every chance we get and every time we repot it. And why did you wait so long to repot it? And the truth on that one is that it just got away from me. I would have liked to do it after 2 years, but I didn't get a chance to, and so it took 3. But here's my philosophy on this. Leaving it, and this goes for most maples and a lot of bonsais too, at least for me, this is kind of what I've been subscribing to lately, is that when you wait that extra year or so to repot it, and when you leave some of those big roots on there, it's safer for the tree because usually there's a lot of those little fine roots attached to the big roots. So it's safer. And also, while it's not perfect that way, because we would all love that perfect radial root flare and nabari coming out of the base there. If you do that, you're slowing down the growth of the tree. Anytime you cut something off, you're slowing it down, usually proportionate to whatever it is you just cut off. So the more you cut, the slower, the more of a slowdown you're giving it. That being said, I think it is faster, when you're developing a tree, it is faster to do a big correction later than it is to do lots of little corrections along the way. So that's one big reason. There's probably exceptions to that case and that rule, but that's kind of what I think. So in other words, since I'm not making it perfect all the time, I'm leaving a lot of those imperfections. I'm slowing it down. I'm not slowing it down as much. So it's still growing and developing at a faster rate. Also, imperfections lead to character. So today's imperfections are tomorrow's feature or tomorrow's character of the tree. If it's perfect all the time, it's not going to develop any of those characteristics that, make a tree unique. Again, there's an exception to that rule too, I'm sure, and I'm sure, somebody might think otherwise, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm just telling you that that's kind of my thinking on this. And that's what that's a theory that I've been subscribing to lately. So that's why I do some of the things that I do, and maybe I don't get as aggressive at times when maybe I should, and I leave things that are not perfect and maybe even ugly, because I'm seeing how it goes. Also, something I do a lot of, if you've watched any of my other videos, is that I almost always put my tree at some kind of lean, and every time I repot it, I either keep that lean going or I lean it a different direction. Because when you do that, trees always want to grow up toward the sun. So when you do that, it's causing the tree to kind of correct and move this way. And then when you repot it later, like this, then it wants to move that way. So it just creates movement and character and imperfections and, uniqueness. So that's something that I do too. So I'm not saying that everybody has to do that. I'm just saying that's something that I do and have really kind of come in tune with lately, and that's my reasoning on why I do it. So hopefully that answers the question, because I get asked that stuff a lot. Why'd you leave those big ugly branches or those big ugly roots? That's why. And also sometimes I just miss stuff. I almost always watch these videos later and I see something that's so obvious and I'm like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that branch? Or how did I see that weird turn? Like, how did I not address that at the time? I don't know if anybody else out there who, makes videos experiences that, but I do. So let me give you a spin here. So there we go. So that's it. Going forward, I'm really wanting this branch to go out this direction more. So I thought about taking it off right here. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but may as well see how it goes first, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes I just stare at these things after a while and I'm just like, I can't take it. And I go and hack it off. But for now, I'm going to leave it as it is. But I would like to see it go out this direction more and get a little more movement to it, because the rest of it is just so smooth in its flow, kind of comes up and then over, and then this is just this long, it's a little too sharp for me, and for this tree, I think. So we'll see. We'll see if that branch makes the cut, no pun intended, later. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. So that's another one of my silver maples. I hope you got something out of it or enjoyed it, and if so, please click like and subscribe. I appreciate everybody who does and leaves me feedback, even when they have other opinions, and when they do question why I leave this ugly thing or that ugly thing. I don't take it personally, and I don't think they intend it personally either. I've yet to have anyone that I thought was being insulting or anything. I like hearing it, and I've learned quite a bit from the comments that people leave me on these. There's all kinds of videos on there where I thought I kind of knew what I was doing, and then I'll read a comment somebody said, and I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much right. So do not hesitate to leave me your opinions and comments, even if you're not 100% sure. Who cares? We're all learning at this. This is a journey. So I appreciate everybody who does, and I'll keep you updated on this tree here. Come spring and summer, I'll let you know how it's doing, and along with my other ones. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of your night.